So I just want to make our administration more approachable to all people, whether you are shy or outspoken, to your homeroom leader who will also be talking to us about things that your homeroom will be concerned about or that you are concerned about.
So I came from a small middle school with roughly about 400 people, and during this time I organized multiple bake sales and dances and raised thousands of dollars for charities. Now you can see these numbers raise exponentially for the events in Stuyvesant because there are 10 times as many people here as there was in my middle school, and no doubt all of you are stressed and you want something to relieve yourself, and I will be the solution.
Well, along with being part of the student organization, and Jason was also the treasurer of his middle school, more importantly, we have kept track with this school's student union and the way that the school is run here, which is more important than how our prior school was ruled because of the different regulations and different ways that the school is run. So we have more experience in this school's student union than
Sadia? In my middle school, we did similar campaigning and funding. We raised money, we elected secretaries and groups, and we did a lot of stuff similar to the SEO. We managed a budget, and one thing that we did was we went to St. Christopher Ottily's Foundation and we helped the kids. And we could do a lot of stuff here also, which could help us raise money and fund stuff, because this will help us fund your events, like your dances and all of that, and make them a lot more funner and more enjoyable for the rest of us.
So I've had experience in student government for about 3 years, and Stacey has also had experience in student government. And we come from a wide array of clubs and publications. Stacey's in indoor track and cross country, and she's part of the Caucus department and Spectator. I'm part of the speech and debate team and also a Spectator. And you can see under endorsements from other people on our Facebook page.
So I'm gonna speak on behalf of Freddie, who's not here right now. But he's been in at his old middle school, he's been in many public speaking programs and on a debate club, as well as there's this special organization that chooses 10 students out of several thousand applicants to be in this special group called Jeter's Leaders, where they learn how to create goals and accomplish them. And he was chosen last year out of several thousand applicants, and he's been chosen for stuff like this many times before, just picked out of a large crowd, because he just knows how to debate and he knows how to speak to people, and that's good traits for his name.
I was in my old middle school. I was actually with Sadia, so we had something very similar to this, but we tried to help SCO, St. Christopher Ottily's. And for first term, I was president along with Musa. We had 2 presidents. Second term, I was vice president by my own choice, actually. And simultaneously, I worked for this private organization called Green Touch, where I was the treasurer. They stopped. Huh? Oh, okay. So we just share our ideas and leadership, and we want to share that everywhere.
Thank you.
When approaching certain issues, you and your running mate may have a difference in opinions. How would you approach these disagreements between yourselves to make the best solution for the country?
It's not about us. We're running not because we want our ideas to be implemented and we want to be these big scary leaders in control of everything, but we want to help you guys. All that matters is what the people want. If we have a disagreement, it doesn't really matter, because we want to see what's best for the freshman grade as a whole.
A disagreement means that different people have different ideas and they want to share them. So instead of fighting over them, I would think that we would be able to sort things out and find a compromise that would make everyone happy in the end.
We want to put it to a vote. between the freshman grade and see really what the people want.
Okay, so if my vice president and me had an argument, I would go directly to you guys. I want to know your take on this because every decision that we make is for you guys, the freshmen. Hence, you should be the ones who get to decide which idea is better. And that is what I'd do. I'd inform you. That's the definition of democracy, allowing the people to choose what's best.
Thank you, Adam. Hanah?
Well, me and Jason have very similar goals, and I do not see much that we would argue about. But also, we have different committees that we would like to set up, such as a homeroom representative system and an advisory council who are there to represent the voices of the freshman grade. And that's who we would go to advice for first. And in addition, if it concerns more of the whole school, we would also consult the leaders of the other grades, the student union president, vice president, and the caucus presidents and vice presidents to get more input.
Thank you.
I am a campaign manager for our campaign. So I want to talk from my perspective of what I've seen from my president and my vice president of our campaign. They have almost every single thought together. They think of it together. They agree with it together. And they never fight. And I was supposed to run, but then something with my grades messed up. So, Freddie, honesty is what isn't always shown. So, look, I want us to still run. Maybe next year I can run with Freddie. There's always next year. But that doesn't mean we just sacrifice this year. We still have to try, right? So the thing is, Freddie took Maya and made me the campaign manager. I did not get salty about it. I'm fine with it. I even made a promise that
First of all, I would just say I would never get into an argument with my vice president. In fact, for this campaign, my vice president and I had different views. We had very different views on this campaign, and I will be very honest right now. Some of these views I wasn't very happy with. But, however, my vice president and I sorted it out. We asked some of our supporters about what they would like for our campaign. And in my opinion, I like it when people have different opinions and they so-called argue because they build on each other's idea. That is the point of democracy. We get to elect our leaders that get to build upon each other's idea, and together, not me and Ryan, together, we will make our school go beyond its former accomplishments.
So our next question is, what is the biggest flaw of student government, and how do you think you can contribute to fixing it?
So you wanted to just focus on one
One thing that we could focus on is funding. And we've spoken to like other people, and we've seen that the SU has been losing a lot of money, and this only takes away from our events, and it takes away from like what we want. So we could make our events more efficient and raise more money. We don't want to blow out our money, and like funding is what's really important, and we need to work on that budget.
Hanah? Well, I think that the student union had difficulty in communication and representation, which is why we're focusing on it so much for our campaign, which is this year we're having both homeroom representatives and an advisory council to get more ideas from the grade. In addition, we're going to set up a mailing list, also a caucus hotline, and various forms of communication which will allow us to get more thoughts from you, the student body.
Of course, a continued homeroom advisory council and continuing the representative system is great. But again, communication still hasn't been very great. I mean, in the Spectator article, not like the student union the student union doesn't really listen to the people. What we want to do is complete, like, our campaign is just completely what the people want, because I think that's the only thing that matters.
Yeah, this article is titled "The Shadow of the Student Union," and it summarizes what happened, how the sophomores wanted something, but they didn't get it in time. There wasn't enough communication, so then sophomores who weren't part of the student union, they worked and they got it, and that's great. But what we want is we want to implement people so that they could work with us and make us more efficient.
Thank you. Maya?
Okay, so Freddie and I believe that one of the largest problems for freshmen are freshman-sophomore relationships. So we just want to get rid of that barrier between freshmen and sophomores that everyone knows that there's. Especially on Facebook, we've seen this year that people have been getting into arguments. And you know what? Sophomores were in the same position last year, and they should be able to understand what we're going through right now instead of just making fun of us for it. Like, we just want to help, and the way we want to do it is maybe get some sophomores who can get the rest of their grade to be compassionate towards the freshmen, because we went through this year, and they went through it last year, so they could help us out instead of just making fun of us.
Also, we have gotten some sophomores. We have gotten the two Matthews, and Cassie. That we just wanted to clarify.
Thank you. John?
I think that, communication is a big problem because there's plenty of students who aren't really aware of what we do at, in the student union and freshman caucus. So we just want them to know that what we are doing for them and what they can do to be part of freshman caucus and student union.
Alright, so we're going to move on to our last question for this
General.
Yeah.
So what will you do if certain goals are unfulfilled, and why should the student body trust you?
Well, we made it a point to put almost only the things that we could guarantee on our platform. We have ideas, of course, but we did not choose to mention them on our website so that we would not mislead you or provide any false hope for those events. And having an advisory council and homeroom representatives will allow more ideas to come into us so that we could fulfill your goals instead of just having set goals for ourselves.
The idea of having a homeroom representative is something I'm pretty sure almost every candidate plans on following. What I think that we should do is, as I've been saying numerous times before, increase communication between you, the student body, and us. Also, I want freshman representatives to actually help with the with getting our ideas through to the SU. I want the freshman voice to have a larger part of the SU, and that's why you should trust me.
Stacey?
So if ideas are not fulfilled, there has to be a reason, maybe because of maturity of the freshmen don't support the idea. That's totally fine. We have so many new ideas and events and proposals we have, and listening to what the freshmen want. And also, this is why we need to have great communication with freshmen. That's how they can trust us. We also proposed the anonymous box. The anonymous box is basically a box that is put on the second floor or any floor that is convenient for when people walk in, and they can write their suggestions, questions, comments on paper and put it in. So that's one of the communication devices we have with people.
Okay. We are going to end it with Mihad.
Alright, so one of the main things we try to ensure the students is that our ideas are not certified to happen. And we didn't even promise that much, but we did promise really huge things that we will definitely try to work on and fulfill. So there shouldn't be much problem if we do not accomplish them, because we will definitely prove that we worked on them, and we will also work with our advisory council and home representatives and show that we worked on that. And if in the end, if it doesn't happen, we know the students will know that we worked on it, and we worked hard for it, but we assured you that it was either not going to happen or will happen.
Okay, thank you. Now we have a couple of individual questions for certain caucuses, for certain tickets. Not everyone has one. We are going to start off with Stacey and Rohan. How do you plan on planning a Sadie caucus dance in such a tight school? You're packed with Sing, STC shows, topped off with 6 different dances in just 1 year.
Okay, so we're gonna try to make events like more common. Like we can plan a city hockey dance in between like the winter and spring dances that are usually held by the SU, and we want to focus on the fact that like these dances are important, so that's why they should be passed. And these dances are important because it's used to relieve stress and helps freshman year become smoother and easy for students to get accustomed to Stuyvesant culture.
Okay, thank you. Next question is for Hanah and Jason. Hanah, you mentioned that you have mostly the same opinions as Jason. Would that not bring a new perspective to your ticket?
Can you explain your question further?
You mentioned earlier that you generally have the same opinions as Jason, so you guys don't have a lot of disagreements. Would that not bring a new perspective when you guys are dealing with different cases?
I mean, that's why we have the advisory councils and the homeroom representatives to help us. It's not that we are, like, trying to dominate the grade. We would ask help from the students and the other caucuses and the student union to get more input for us. And, yeah.
Okay. Next question is,
Jason. We meant that we had different ideas, but like we agreed on it. Like we added, but like we didn't disagree with each other on the new ideas.
next question is for Mihad and Sadia. How is the umbrella project economically feasible?
Well, it depends how we decide to work on it. Like, let's say that we allow it to be rented, and if they don't return it, then they're obviously going to have to pay for it. So in that way, we can economically adjust to that and earn money. Or unless we just decide to sell it to people in the school store, then we just earn money from that.
Adam, why do you believe that the sophomore caucus would not listen to the freshman caucus? And if so, how would you end this unequal power distribution?
I'm not saying that the sophomore caucus doesn't listen to the freshman caucus, but rather the sophomore caucus dominates what happens in like joint events. And I'll just fix this by demanding a bigger voice. I'm demanding to be a larger part of this event because, after all, it's shared. It should be shared equally. Both sides are important.
Okay, and as a follow-up question, do you not think that because the freshmen are just coming in, do you not think that the sophomore caucus should dominate a little more because they have more experience and they're there to guide the freshman caucus?
I believe when joint events happen, freshmen have been